So this is my first time getting to play. It's the 9th of December. It's my first time getting to play the bells. Jeez, I am so not with it. So I am finally alive enough to be upright and talking. So yay. And Nanny's about in the same boat. She's recovering very, very sore from where the pacemaker was put in. It's a decent sized little gadget, and they bury it under the muscle in your chest. And she's a skinny little thing, so there's just not a lot of muscle there for them to play with. So, very, very sore the first couple of nights, but if we can keep her down, that's our biggest problem. We got to keep her down long enough to let it heal. She's doing well, so we're very happy about that. And me, my issue is I had a sinus infection, and I forgot. I used to get sinus infections all the time when I was younger, and I forgot how obnoxious they really are. Just, for some, I have this belief, and it was instilled in me when my children were young, because I would run them to the pediatrician every time they, sniffled, sneezed. When you're a new mom, what the heck do you know? So I know veterinary medicine. I don't know kid medicine. So when my kids were little, the first, sniffle, sneeze, pulling at their ear, whatever, I would run them off to the pediatrician's office. And they always said to me, no, they have to be sick and have a fever for 5 days before you bring them in, because we are not going to treat them unless they are sick for at least 5 days before you bring them in. Kind of making sure that it wasn't just a little sniffle or sneeze that was going to go away, also making sure that it was bacterial, not viral. So I applied that same thing to myself, plus I hate going to doctors. So, I was pretty down and out for about 5 days before I ever decided that I would set foot inside a doctor's office. And the other problem was I had a just, cheese grater raw throat, low grade fever, chills, body aches. So of course, what's the first thing everybody think of is, oh my gosh, she must have COVID. So, half the doctor's offices won't see you if they think you have COVID symptoms. So it's like, well, how do I get diagnosed if I can't get inside a doctor's door? Luckily, ours were very good. Um, and they tested me for strep, it was negative. They tested me twice for COVID, it was negative. They tested me for flu, it was negative. Mom also got tested for all of that as well because she was coughing, but her problem was her heart had stopped, so that took precedence, and they said, yeah, the heck with your cough, we're going to fix your heart. So then I finally got antibiotics after 5 days of feeling like poo. And then after 5 days on antibiotics, well, we know what happens when we take antibiotics. We kill off all the good guys in our gut as well as the bad guys. So guess what? My good guys and bad guys all waved their white flag and gave up, and then my gut said, we give up. And so that was another few days of down and out, and I only got 5 days of my antibiotics in, but hopefully that's enough to get everything under control, because that's all I can manage. So anyway, we're almost back to functional. So, but I was thinking about it today. Hugh and I actually went out and ran some errands today because we were very low on miniature horse feed, and we're getting low on bedding for the beasts. And so we had to run over to Tractor Supply and pick up a bunch of stuff. And, while we're there, we'll pick up a couple Christmas presents at Target. And then while we're over there, we'll, swing by the grocery store. And it's dang cold outside. It's 40 degrees. I moved to the south to get warm. What the hey? 40 degrees. So I'm freezing. And I'm really happy to be sitting in my little booth because this little closet is very, very, very warm. So it's wonderful. It's a very small room with its own heat vent, so it's the warmest place in the house. But it got me thinking about our animals, and I know that I'm yang deficient. I am cold all the time. As soon as the temperature starts to drop, my fingers turn blue, my toes turn blue, I'm freezing, I can't get enough circulation, I don't have enough padding to keep my body warm, and I can't put on enough layers. Poor Hugh, he's on his side of the bed with 1 blanket, I'm on my side of the bed with 4 blankets, and when I'm sick it's 6 blankets, and I can't get warm enough. And so I look at our animals kind of from the same framework. We have animals, we talk about the The animals that are too hot, the ones that are panting all the time, they're looking for the cold tile floor. They lay sprawled out with as much of their belly and their underside touching that cold tile. We get the dogs, the Alaskan breeds, the northern breeds who, 2 feet of snow, they're happy to just go lay out there and sleep. They're running around having a good time. Meanwhile, I've got little dogs who are like, oh, it's so cold, you can't make me do it. And we don't even get snow here, and it's too cold for my kids. And so our house cats, they think they want to go outside, and I open the door and I say, okay, go ahead, kitties, go explore the backyard. And one will get as far as the patio. The other two will step 1 foot outside the door, turn around, and run right back in. It is way too cold. Those are my cats who, as soon as we turn on the fireplace, they are just plastered against the fireplace screen, trying to get warm all the time. So we have animals who are too hot all the time, and they love this kind of weather, and a lot of their imbalances will actually balance out a little bit when it gets cooler. So, for instance, the dogs who suffer a lot from the hot diarrheas, a lot of times their inflammatory bowel disease or their hot diarrhea problems will calm down over the winter because it's gotten cooler out. So we're environmentally cooling them. As well as hopefully we've changed diet and done those sort of things. But then we've got our old cold animals, the ones who we used to have a little 16-year-old cocker who, she was an old cold little girl. She wore sweaters even in the summer, kind of like my mom and I. We wear sweaters in the summer because if the air conditioning's on, we're cold. So we do have animals who are those cold animals as well. And they don't have to be old, but a lot of them tend to be old. So they might be thinner animals who don't have a lot of body covering on them. And these animals who struggle more with cold. So you'll know them because they don't drink very much because they already have enough moisture in their body generally. They don't pant because they're not hot. They sleep curled up in a little ball, so you see them all curled up. They're not sprawled out. They like to burrow under blankets, so we see this a lot with kitty cats who like to burrow under things. If they sleep in bed with you or sit next to you on the sofa, they're trying to get as close as they can and like really snuggle up with you. So these are the animals who are cold, and because their imbalance is toward cold, as the weather gets colder, any of their imbalances will get worse. So let's say they have arthritis. They have a cold arthritis, and so my mom and I, because we are cold, as the weather gets colder and damper, our arthritis will get worse. So that's when you see me trying to write something and it's like, the hand doesn't work. So if you have an animal who tends toward cold, their arthritis will feel worse for them in the colder weather. And for animals who suffer with heart disease, where they've got too much fluid, we might see worsening of that disease in the winter where it's cold and damp because they already don't have enough warm energy to keep things pumping through the body. So animals who have cold diarrheas, they're going to be worse in the winter. My sister's old Morgan horse, and my mom's little Minnie, as soon as the weather starts getting cold, the stool gets loose and they have undigested grain in the stool because they're not digesting as well. So these are old, cold animals. We can see problems with respiratory diseases. If they're prone toward pneumonias or getting fluid in the chest, we might see worsening of it. A lot of kitty cats with asthma will get much worse over the winter months because they're inside with the dry heat, which can make things much worse. The lungs like a moist air. They don't like that really dry air. And animals with kidney disease, old, cold animals with kidney disease, we may see worsening of their kidney disease as the weather starts to plummet. So what kinds of things can we do to help these guys? Well, you want to be ahead of the curve a little bit. If you know the cold weather is coming, and our weather here is really weird right now because it was 74 degrees a couple days ago, and over the weekend on Saturday, so 2 days from now, it's going to be 74 degrees again, and meanwhile it's 40 degrees today. So it is all over the place. People who have horses hate the weather when it's like this because it's blankets on, blankets off, blankets on, blankets off. Unless you're like us, we bought blankets for the donkeys and they won't let us get near them. So I have 3 really nice blankets lying in the barn, hoping that someday a donkey will let us put it on. So, what can you do for your dogs and cats? Well, certainly you can put them in sweaters or coats, particularly when they have to go outside, if they will tolerate them, if they like them. Our animals actually like getting dressed up, so our dogs anyway, so they're fine with it. Fireplace, turn on the fireplace. Our guys will literally line up in front of the fireplace. I have 3 dog beds in front of the fireplace, and as soon as that fireplace comes on, that's where everybody is. We give them extra blankets, nesting beds that they can kind of curl up and really get warmed up in. And then we change up their diet a little bit. And this is the time of year where we're looking for those warming proteins. So now is when pheasant and chicken and deer, venison, goat, lamb, this is the time of year where you can feed those to your animal who might not be able to tolerate them in the hot summer because they are energetically warming proteins. This is the time, think of what your grandma used to tell you to eat in the winter before you went off to school because it would stick to your ribs and keep you warm all day. Oatmeal. Oats are very warming, and I know a lot of us don't feed grains to our pets, but I will tell you, if you have an old pet with kidney failure and you make them a nice bowl of warm oatmeal, maybe put a little ginger or cinnamon on it, maybe spruce it up with a little bit of scrambled egg or some sardine. A lot of times that will really get these guys rolling. These are the animals that are cold when the winter sets in. They don't eat well in the morning. They're going to be very slow to get started in the morning. Kind of like I say about older women all the time, we'd really much rather to get up. Hugh's mom, she used to love to stay in bed till 10 in the morning, and then by about noon she might be ready to have something to eat and like really kind of get, it took her that long to get rolling. So these older animals, they don't like to get up at the crack of dawn. They don't like to eat first thing in the morning. They're too cold. Their digestive system is too cold. They need to get warmed up. So you know, for those guys, you would be much better off to kind of let them get up, let them stretch a little bit, move around the house a little bit. Maybe if they're up to it, take them out for kind of a brisk walk to get the energy flowing, get the chi flowing, warm them up a little bit, and then by the time you come back from that, they might be warmed up enough that they might consider that they will have a meal. So don't get hung up on my animal has to eat twice a day at the same time every day, 7 a.m., 5 p.m. I mean, that's kind of, it's about 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. at our house. But sometimes you just have to let that go, and you have to say, you know what, they're just not into it. This morning, 2 of our dogs were not ready for breakfast. They actually each were bringing up a little bit of bile and foam, and it was just like not ready for breakfast. So we went out and fed everybody else. Came back in about 9 o'clock when we came in. I said, you know what, you guys are just not like. You know, we just need a different day. So this morning we had a fasting, not really fasting, but as close as, although Forrest fasted. Forrest has mornings where, Forrest has a lot of Jing deficiencies, which means he's going to tend more toward cold. And he has a lot of mornings where he's just not going to eat. He's not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. And that's fine. We just say, okay, well, we'll try again at dinner. And so the 3 that did eat this morning, I said, you know what, we're having an easy morning. We're having warm goat milk with a few little floaters of goat meat in it. And that was breakfast for these guys this morning. So it's giving their system a chance to reset a little bit, a chance for them to not really fast, but, you know, have a very, very light meal versus you know, having one of their bigger meals with all their, I even skipped supplements this morning. I did medications that were medically necessary, but we skipped all the supplements and we said, you know what, we're just having, we're taking it back a little bit because this was one of the first mornings where it's been really cold like this, that it's really kind of affected everybody. So we just took a step back, and then they'll just get a little bit bigger dinner tonight. We have some mornings where we just say, you know what, we're just going to do bone broth. We heat up some bone broth, and everybody has a bowl of bone broth. So you have to play things a little bit differently in the winter with these guys. If you know that you have an animal who gets worse in the winter, you might talk to your holistic veterinarian or your acupuncturist or massage therapist and say, hey, maybe we need to step this up a little bit for the winter. Maybe we need to get some warming herbs on board. Maybe we need to be serving nice warm stews for them in the winter. I love making warm crockpot stews for the animals in the winter because I think about how I feel and I know what I want. And so maybe that's just personifying them, but I know how I feel in the winter. I know that I need 4 coats to walk outside. So I think it's unfair for me to say to my dogs, hey, you're going to go spend 2 hours outside in the cold when you don't like it in the cold either. So you need to modify their schedules a little bit, and you need to modify what you're feeding and how you're dealing with them, and give them the opportunity to get warmed up. Particularly if you have old dogs with arthritis, give them that opportunity for warm blankets, massage, things to keep the chi flowing and the energy moving and keep them warmed up. Okay, I've got to go do an interview, so everybody have a wonderful afternoon, supporters. I'll see you tomorrow night for Ask Me Anything. I'll see if I can get us some more bells. I think I might be able to, because the bells are kind of nice. It's, we only get to do it for a few short weeks a year. Yeah, 15-year-old Havanese. That's going to be an old cold dog at this point. You've got to, bundle them up, snuggle them. Warming up your goat milk is a little tricky anyway, if you're using a fermented, because you don't want to kill the bacteria. So you can take a container of it and put that container in another container with hot water and let it warm up slowly. I sit it out on the counter. I had it on the counter for about a half hour this morning before they were fed, and then we warmed it up a little bit from there. Hemobendin, I think, is really better on an empty stomach before meals, but I always feed it with meals because I'm just too lazy. Yeah, when they've got bile coming up, just take a break. Just give them bone broth, give them some goat milk, something really simple, some congee. Just take an easy day with them. All right, everybody have a wonderful day.